The Prime Minister is still overseas. No, seriously, Anthony Albanese is heading home from the Middle East, but he's not home until tomorrow. What a weird trip it's been. More than 10 days overseas at extraordinary expense, of course, achieving nothing, turning up at a Lefty love fest, the British Labor Party's conference, but a trip mainly noteworthy for Albanese's desperation to see people he's opposed to. You know, like most on the left, of course, he's a big critic of Donald Trump. But he couldn't wait to pounce on the US president for a selfie in New York City. He was more like a fanboy in the streets than he was a fellow government leader looking to negotiate on the big issues. Then there was the king, of course. And again, Albanese went against his true feelings with the staunch Republican sidling up to the British and Australian monarch. Yeah, it would be, would the real Albo please stand up? And on his way back down under, the PM stopped in on Abu Dhabi and he even squeezed in a visit to the Grand Mosque there, waxing lyrical about the glory of God. Who is this man? And when do we get the original Albo back? The most telling point about his trip home was that Albanese did not visit Israel. He was in the neighbourhood, but did not drop in. Albo hasn't visited Israel in the almost 2 years since the October the 7th atrocities. In fact, he spent most of that period demonising Israel, banning Israeli visitors and being soft on anti-Semitism and Islamist extremism at home. There is no word yet on whether the Home Affairs Minister, Tony Burke, will be at the airport to meet the Prime Minister when he arrives home, but we doubt it. Those pictures I showed you exclusively last week of Tony Burke personally welcoming the latest contingent of up to 50 refugees from Gaza when they arrived in Sydney have certainly caused a bit of a stir.
We have very grave reservations about these people who've come from Gaza because, of course, let's not forget, Chris, Gaza is controlled by Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist group.
I mean, I don't know if he extends that same courtesy to other incoming arrivals or groups of citizens. You know, I would think that it's not something that a Home Affairs Minister would normally do.
Burke has responded to this criticism by accusing the coalition of denigrating the Gazan refugees, which is a classic case of verballing and distraction, of course. They were making valid points, as was I last week, and voters have every right to demand answers. The Home Affairs and Immigration Minister has refused to answer the questions that we've put to him about the cohort of people that were coming in from Gaza and that were welcomed by him. We've asked who this group was, who paid for their travel, why the minister was there, why he made no announcement about it, what security checks were made on these people who were given visas, and also how many people in total have arrived from Gaza and how many more are we planning to accept. We've not received any response to these reasonable questions either last week or today. We've also repeatedly asked the minister for an interview and we've got no response to that either. This lack of openness and transparency about all this is quite extraordinary. No wonder many people are anxious about this government's attitude to immigration.